Susan Wiggs is a best-selling author. I tell you, if you go to Seattle, go in any bookstore, find a Susan Wiggs book, it will be signed. Susan is fanatic about doing that. Or make your own niche. Jack Canfield lives here in Santa Barbara. He sort of made his own niche with the chicken soup books. He put those books in stores that didn't have books before. You're a new author, so name recognition, unless you have a remarkable platform from your previous life, okay, you have nothing with your name. So I call it the original idea, all right? I'm going to talk about the original idea. Don't write for the market, but understand the market. You should be getting PW Lunch, Publishers Weekly Lunch. They send an email out every day just to keep track of what's going on in the publishing business. There's no secret handshake, but it's good to network. Pretty much every job I have right now in the publishing world has come from networking. People I know. And there are many markets and niches out there in publishing. There's 6 major corporations left in New York, but they have a lot of subsidiaries, and then nature abhors a vacuum, so university presses are doing a lot of fiction now. There's a lot. Print on demand is a technology. People equate it with vanity presses. It's not. It's a machine. And it is the future of publishing, along with things like Kindle. Style and voice are critical. You have to master your point of view. There's 3 reasons you won't sell. You don't have a good idea. You haven't told a good story, because idea is not story, and you're writing. And in writing, the biggest problem people have is point of view. First, second, third limited, third omniscient. Which are you writing in? Lock it down. And it can be seen very quickly in a reader. An agent, if they're honest, will tell you 15 seconds they know. And you think that's brutal. How many of y'all go in a bookstore, go to the aisle, pick up a book from an unknown author, stand in the aisle, read the entire book, and then go buy it? Watch people in bookstores. Zoom, 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 zoom down the aisles. Titles, first thing. Then cover copy. Look at the inside flap of a hardcover book. You know what that's called? It's called a query letter. That's what you're going to send the publisher. If that's how they're trying to sell the book to a reader, you sell the book to them the same way. Communicate your excitement. This is the bottom line. What you're trying to do when you have a meeting with an editor or agent is to get them excited. This is the entertainment business. The two don't add up. Entertainment's emotion, business is numbers. You've got to get them emotionally involved in your story, however it is. What excited you? Something excited you so much, whether it's nonfiction or fiction, that you sat down and you wrote 100,000 words. You have to remember what that thing is. That's why I call it the original idea. I can remember the moment of conception of every book I've written, where it all started from, that first thought I had. And that idea is something you have to write down and keep, because it's probably going to be the first sentence of your query letter and the first thing you say to an editor and agent when you sit down across from them. Always have your one sentence ready. You could be writing the elevator, and an agent could be standing next to you and say, "Oh, what do you write?" And you got time for 1 second. I've been in many conferences and seen this happen. I've seen it happen at lunches. An agent sits down, they look at somebody, "What do you write?" And they say, "Oh, I have a book about this, and then this happens, and then that happens, and then this happens," and I see the agent's eyes roll back in their head. They want one sentence. There's a Robert Altman film called The Player. Tim Robbins plays a guy who's by screenplays. Everybody comes in his office, he says, 25 words or less, give it to me. I have a friend who does that real job. He says he gets 5,000 pitches a year. He can develop maybe 10 of them. So it's fast and furious. Be professional. This is, even though it's kind of a casual business, a handshake business, it's still a profession. Have a low PIA factor. My old agent Richard Curtis calls that pain in the ass factor. Have a low one. And you always have the power to say no. That's about the only power you have as a writer. And sometimes it's good to say no. Any deal is not a good deal. Any agent is not necessarily a good agent. So what are you trying to do with your book? You have to find the right place to send the book. I always look on the side of a book for imprints. What's the imprint? So you should know your genre. You should know who buys what type of books. You're writing science fiction, you've got Bantam Spectre, you've got Del Rey, you've got Tor, and I think there's one other, and that's it. 4 major publishers of science fiction out there. You've got to know who's doing what. You've got the writer's market. You got writers' conferences, which you're doing right here. The Guide to Literary Agents, Writer's Digest puts it in their writer's market. Jeff Herman's here. He's got his Guide to Literary Agents. You got small and regional presses. You got print on demand. You got an infinite number of possibilities out there. I am known as a writing whore. I say yes to everything because I know 49 out of 50 things I say yes to are never going to happen. So I just keep saying yes. I'll do that. Sure, I'll do that. Sure, I'll do that. And 49 times it doesn't work. I was literally standing outside the Flatiron Building in New York, supposed to go upstairs, talk to an editor about writing books based on the TV show The Unit. The deal was in place. My agent gets out of the cab, and the first thing she says to me, Bob, the deal fell through on the cab ride over. She got a phone call that Fox wouldn't release the rights. You know, I was like, okay, what next? What's the next plan? What are we going to do next? The query and submission, I've noticed a trend now in publishing where they added an extra step. They ask you to send a query letter, and if they like your query letter, they'll ask you for your query letter, your synopsis, your sample chapters. If they like that, they'll ask for the manuscript. Don't do that. I know they're going to